Do you ever feel like you're living a double life in English?
I know exactly what you mean. In one life, you're a rock star. You're sitting alone, reading a news article, a complicated book, or scrolling through comments online. You get the vocabulary, the nuance, the jokes.
You're nodding along, feeling confident, thinking, okay, I've got this. My English is pretty good. And then, the other life happens. A friendly coworker turns to you and asks, hey, what are you up to this weekend?
And just like that, silence. Your brain, which was just juggling complex sentences a moment ago, goes completely blank. You know the words are in there, but they're suddenly locked behind a door, and you can't find the key.
You stammer, you hesitate, maybe you spit out a short, simple answer that doesn't even come close to the smart thoughts in your head. The confident reader vanishes, and in their place is someone who feels stuck, frustrated, and maybe a little embarrassed.
That feeling is painfully familiar. It's isolating.
If that's you, I need you to know two things. First, you are not alone. This is one of the most common and frustrating stages of learning English. Second, it's not your fault, and it is absolutely fixable. My name is Adam, and this is Jessica.
Hi, everyone. I'm a professional who can read and understand reports, articles, and emails in English at a near native level. But for years, I felt trapped by this exact problem. I had all the knowledge, but couldn't access it in a real conversation.
Today, I'm going to share the exact technique I shared with her. It's a simple method that finally builds a bridge between the English in your head and the confident, fluent English that comes out of your mouth. It's called podcast shadowing, and it might just change everything for you. So, let's start by blowing up a myth. If you can read and understand English but can't speak it, you are not bad at English. Your brain isn't broken.
But it really feels that way, so why does it happen?
It's actually a logical result of how we usually learn a language. For years, you've been expertly training one part of your language skills while accidentally letting the other part fall asleep. Think about it. Reading and listening are passive skills. Information comes in. You're a receiver.
So you see a word, and your brain just has to recognize it. You hear a sentence, and you process what it means.
Exactly. It's like having this huge, amazing library in your mind. You can walk through the aisles, pull out any book, and understand it perfectly. This is your passive vocabulary, and for many learners, it's enormous. But speaking and writing? Those are active skills. Information has to go out.
You're the creator. You don't just recognize a word, you have to find it, pull it out of that mental library, put it in the right order with other words, and then physically make the sounds with your mouth. It demands coordination and lightning fast processing.
Here's another way to think about it. Learning a language is a lot like learning to drive a car. You can read every book ever written about driving. You can study engines, memorize the traffic laws, and watch thousands of hours of driving videos. You can become the world's leading expert on the theory of driving. But the first time you actually get in the driver's seat, you're going to stall.
Because knowing about something isn't the same as doing it. Reading is studying the driver's manual, but speaking is actually driving the car. And I've spent years becoming a brilliant scholar of the English manual, but I've had very little time behind the wheel.
And that weak connection between your brain and your mouth gets worse because of the fear factor. When you're reading alone, there's zero pressure. You can take your time, reread a sentence, look up a word, but a conversation happens in real time. Suddenly, there's another person waiting for you to respond.
That's when the performance anxiety kicks in. My brain just starts screaming questions at me. Is that the right word? Is my grammar okay? Are they judging my accent? Oh no, I'm taking too long to answer.
This inner panic eats up all your mental bandwidth, and the part of your brain that should be calmly forming a sentence gets completely steamrolled. This is the moment your mind goes blank. The words are there, but the path to them is blocked by a wall of anxiety.
So the problem isn't my knowledge, it's a problem of activation and practice. I have a world class library in my head, but the pathways to get those books out the door are overgrown and barely used.
Exactly. You need a method that doesn't just add more books to your library, but one that paves a superhighway from your knowledge straight to your mouth. If this feeling of being trapped behind a wall of your own knowledge sounds familiar, make sure you subscribe, because we're about to give you the tools to tear that wall down.
Okay, that is frighteningly accurate. The overgrown path, the mind going blank. It's like you were secretly watching me in my last meeting. So, I get the why. I have this giant passive vocabulary from reading, but my active skills are weak because I haven't practiced. So, what do I actually do? How do I start paving that superhighway? I can't just quit my job and move to Australia. I need something I can do right here, right now.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the answer is simpler than you think. You don't need to move, and you don't need to spend a fortune. You just need to change how you practice. You need a technique that trains your brain, your ears, and your mouth to all work together in perfect sync. And that technique is called podcast shadowing. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Shadowing? Oh, you mean listening and repeating? Yeah, I've tried that. But true shadowing is different, and that difference is everything. Shadowing isn't listening to a sentence, pausing, and then repeating it. That's just repetition. Shadowing is speaking at the exact same time as the native speaker, like an echo, that's just a split second behind. You're literally following them like a shadow, trying to match their every move. When you do this, something amazing happens. You stop being a passive listener and you become an active participant. You're forcing your brain to process the language and produce it almost simultaneously. You're not just learning the words, you're learning the music of English. The rhythm, the intonation, the way words melt together. For example, in your reading brain, you see the words, "I am going to go." But in a real conversation, a native speaker says, "I'm gonna go." Shadowing is what trains your mouth to make those connections automatically without thinking. It builds the muscle memory for fluent, natural-sounding speech. It tunes your ears to the real pace of the language and your mouth to the physical act of making those sounds. This technique is the ultimate bridge builder. It directly connects your passive understanding to your active speaking ability. It's the most efficient way to practice all the skills of speaking at once: pronunciation, rhythm, intonation, and even grammar patterns, all in one exercise. It's like a full-body workout for your English-speaking muscles. And the best part? You can start today with nothing more than your phone and a pair of headphones. All right, Jessica, you ready to build that bridge? I'm going to walk you through the exact step-by-step process. For everyone watching, this is your action plan.
I'm ready. So, where do I even begin? There are literally millions of podcasts.
Exactly. And that brings us to step 1. Choose the right material. This is the most important step because picking the wrong thing is why most people quit. Your goal is to find a podcast that is short, interesting, and just a little bit challenging. Start with episodes that are only 1 to 3 minutes long. If you can find one with a transcript, that's a massive bonus. The topic must be interesting to you. If you love cooking, find a cooking podcast. If you're into tech, find a tech podcast. Don't pick some boring Learn English podcast unless you genuinely enjoy it. Motivation is everything.
Okay, short, fun, with a transcript. Got it. What's next?
Step 2. Just listen first. Before you even think about speaking, just play the 1 to 3 minute clip once or twice. That's it. Just listen and get the general idea. This takes all the pressure off. You're just getting familiar with the content, the speaker's voice, and the speed. You're mapping out the road before you try to drive it.
That makes sense. So I listen a couple of times first. Then comes the scary part.
It's only scary the first time. Step 3. The first messy attempt. Now play the audio again from the beginning. This time, you're going to speak with the host. Remember, you're their echo, just a fraction of a second behind. The first time you do this, it's going to feel messy, awkward, and way too fast. That is 100% normal. Don't stop. Don't get frustrated. Just do your best to keep up. A fantastic trick here is to use the playback speed setting. Slow it down to 0.75x. This gives you a little more breathing room and makes it so much more manageable at the start.
Slowing it down is a great tip. But what if I'm just mumbling nonsense? How do I even know if I'm saying the right words?
Perfect question. That brings us to step 4. Shadow with the transcript. This is where that transcript becomes your superpower. Play the audio again, but this time, read the transcript out loud as you shadow. This visually connects the sounds you're hearing and making with the actual words on the page. You'll have a dozen aha moments when you see how a phrase is written versus how it's really said. This step is a game changer for fixing pronunciation.
Okay, so listen. Then shadow slowly, then shadow with the text. I see how that builds on itself. Are we done?
Just 2 more key steps. Step 5. Record and compare. This is for anyone who's serious about speeding up their progress. Once you're feeling a bit more comfortable, shadow the clip and record yourself on your phone. Then, listen back to back. First the original audio, then your recording. I know, listening to your own voice can feel cringy, but it's the single best way to self-correct. You will instantly hear the differences in rhythm, pronunciation, and tone. You become your own coach.
That sounds a little intimidating, but I can totally see why it would work. Last question. How often do I have to do this?
And that is the final, most important rule. Step 6. Be insanely consistent. Shadowing is exercise. Doing it for 15 minutes every single day is 1,000 times better than a 2-hour session on a Sunday and then nothing for a week. Consistency is what builds the habit and strengthens those neural pathways. Aim for 10 to 15 minutes a day. You can do it while making coffee, on your commute, or while walking the dog. Make it a small, non-negotiable part of your daily routine. Consistency always beats quantity.
Now, as you start your shadowing journey, you're going to be tempted to make a few classic mistakes. I want to warn you about them now, so you can avoid the traps that cause so many people to give up.
Mistake 1. The pause and repeat habit. Like we talked about, a lot of people think shadowing is listening to a line, hitting pause, and repeating it. That isn't shadowing. While that's okay for memorizing a phrase, it completely fails to train your brain for a real-time conversation. The magic is in the simultaneous processing and speaking. It trains your brain to work under the gentle pressure of a live conversation. Don't hit pause. Embrace the flow.
Mistake 2. Picking material. That's too hard or too boring. This is the ultimate motivation killer. Some people think they should be shadowing a fast talking economist or a philosophical debate on day one. They struggle for 10 minutes, feel totally defeated, and conclude, I guess shadowing doesn't work for me. Yes, it does. You just chose the wrong material. That's like trying to bench press 300 pounds on your first day at the gym. You'll just hurt yourself. Start with something you genuinely enjoy that is at, or just slightly above, your level. Fun is a requirement for success.
Mistake 3. Focusing only on the words. A lot of learners get obsessed with just saying the correct words. They sound like a robot reading a script. But language is so much more than words. It's music. Are you matching the speaker's energy, their intonation? When does their voice go up or down? Are they excited, serious, joking? You have to copy these things too. I know a teacher who shadows inspiring TED Talks, not just for the words, but to learn how to speak with passion. Copy the emotion, not just the information.
Mistake 4. The fear of being imperfect. Your first few shadowing sessions will be a complete mess. You'll stumble, miss words, and feel like you're always one step behind. Welcome to the club. Every single person who has mastered this technique started out sounding awful. The goal isn't perfection, the goal is practice. There's a great phrase, fake it till you make it. For shadowing, it's mumble it till you make it. Seriously, just keep your mouth moving and try to catch the rhythm. Progress is just the sum of hundreds of messy, imperfect attempts. By avoiding these 4 traps, you'll stick with it long enough to see the incredible results it can bring.
So let's bring this all home. We started with that familiar, frustrating feeling of being stuck, of having a mind full of English but a mouth that just won't cooperate. We now know exactly why this happens. It's the gap between our well-fed passive skills and our starving active skills. But that gap isn't a dead end. It's a space where you can build a bridge. And your most powerful tool for building that bridge is podcast shadowing.
By following the 6 steps, choosing the right material, listening first, shadowing slowly, using a transcript, recording yourself, and being consistent, you are literally paving a neurological superhighway between your brain and your mouth. You're training the skill of fluency in the most direct way possible. The journey from being a passive reader to a confident speaker doesn't happen overnight. But it's not a mystery, it's a mechanical process. You build the skill through deliberate, consistent practice. You are no longer just collecting knowledge. You are building a physical skill.
You have the ability. You have the knowledge. And now, you have the method. So I have a question for you. What's one podcast you love that you could start shadowing today? It can be about any topic in the world. Drop it in the comments below. I read all of them, and I'd love to see what you're all listening to. Thank you for your time. Start small, stay consistent, and get ready to finally meet the fluent speaker who's been inside you all along.